This is RTV6 News at 6, working for you.
Sticking to our guns, we're gonna fight, not run. We don't stand for hate, stand for love. So what we... Protesters gather for the 9th day in a row in Indianapolis. This time, the Statehouse is the scene as people stage a sit-in calling for peace, solidarity, and an end to police brutality. The event came just hours ahead of another curfew here in Marion County. Thanks for joining us here at 6 o'clock. I'm Nicole Griffin. Hundreds of people gathered on the lawn at the state capitol today. A massive peaceful protest rivaling the amount of people we saw at the Red for Ed rally back in November. Those demonstrators gathered for several hours this afternoon. Our Alyssa Donovan is live at the Statehouse right now. Alyssa, what is going on there at this hour?
You know what, Nicole, it's quiet right now, and right now you can see there's a few state police officers up there on the steps, and really that's the most police presence that we've seen throughout this protest. We saw some National Guard on the sides of the Capitol earlier as well, but for the most part, police have sort of stood away from this protest today. And earlier today, this entire lawn was packed with protesters, and this was a quieter protest. There were moments of silence where you could only hear the helicopter above that was patrolling the area. People of all races gathering in support of change. Signs reading Black Lives Matter, I stand with you, no justice, no peace. Speakers talked about Drejon Reed, George Floyd, and others. We spoke with several protesters who have been part of demonstrations throughout the week who were happy to see such a turnout today. One protester says there is a need for real policy reform, and mass gatherings like this one is one of the first steps in exercising that First Amendment right.
In an effort to reform how we police implicit bias as it relates to police officers. And it's also important that we show solidarity. One of the things that's encouraging about this particular movement is that you see massive levels of racial diversity.
And another prominent message today, not so much by the speakers, but by people who were actually in tents on the corners of the Statehouse, was that people need to register to vote. That's one way to help with this policy reform, and it's one way to get your voices heard. And now we do know that there is a march going on around downtown Indianapolis. We're going to try to catch up with that. Of course, we're about 2 hours away from that curfew going into effect. Reporting live, Alyssa Donovan, RTV6.
Alyssa, thank you. Among the peaceful protesters downtown, we talked to a father who brought his family out today. Each one, including the kids, ages 6, 9, and 11, were carrying signs. The father tells us they wanted to attend a positive protest. He hopes his children learn what can be accomplished when we all come together peacefully as a group.
Just important for them to show them that, their voice does matter. They can come out here and make a positive impact on what's going on, and it's important for them to understand what actually is going on. So I think it's just starting now at a young age and showing them what's going on.
Well, some of the signs they were carrying today say Black Lives Matter, no justice, and don't shoot. Now to that curfew that is in effect again tonight for Marion County. It is set to begin tonight at 8 and continue through 6 tomorrow morning. During that time, no one is allowed to travel the streets or be in public places. Those who are traveling to work, seeking medical attention, or are public officials are an exception. According to the mayor's office, a violation of the curfew is a Class B misdemeanor and can result in jail time and up to $10,000 in fines. The state health department hosted a free COVID-19 testing event this afternoon for protesters. Our Amanda Saratito was there. She's showing us why this is so important for the people attending protests downtown as the pandemic continues.
Nicole, social distancing has been put on the sidelines this week because of all those protests taking place across central Indiana and the nation. And that's why this testing is happening here today. And it was pretty slow when they started off this morning, but as people started to trickle into downtown around 3 p.m. for the sit-in this afternoon, we saw some of those protesters come and take advantage of the testing happening here today. Now, the state health department is doing their part to make sure those choosing to protest in big crowds are being safe, not only for themselves, but for others in our community. The testing took place next to the Statehouse, where a sit-in was planned for Saturday afternoon. And although the testing was located there for convenience for those protesting, it was also an opportunity for anyone concerned about their COVID-19 status to get tested for free. For the protesters, getting tested for COVID is another way they feel they can be advocates for the cause they support.
I've been shoulder to shoulder with queer, and black and brown people this weekend in very close proximity. And it just made a lot of sense to make sure I know where I stand, and so I know what to do moving forward. If we're going to stand with each other to protect black and brown people, like, this is another way to protect, black and brown people and ourselves. Kind of like the oxygen mask in an airplane. Like, if I'm going to be helping, I really want to be okay.
I did speak with the State Health Commissioner, Dr. Christina Box, who was out here all day long administering those tests. She has been warning of another wave of COVID even before protests built up. And with the nature of protests, with people in close proximity and big crowds, it is a recipe to increase infection. Now, she says we should know in the next week if we are seeing a spike in COVID due to these larger gatherings. Although testing for Sunday was a possibility, the State Health Department did just tell me that they are not going to do that tomorrow and just wrap it up for the day here. They did say, though, that there would be future testing available. Reporting in Indianapolis, Amanda Starrentino, WRTV.
Amanda, thank you. Here are the latest COVID-19 numbers from the Indiana State Department of Health. They report 32 new deaths and 442 new cases across the state. Nearly 37,000 Hoosiers have been diagnosed since the pandemic began. More than 297,000 have been tested. A little over 12% of those have tested positive. Now to your Storm Team 6 forecast. Meteorologist Kyle Mountain standing by. Kyle, what a nice Saturday.
Yeah, Nicole, we've been enjoying that wall-to-wall sunshine. Did make it a little toasty out there this afternoon, though. We made it up to 88 in Indianapolis and Bloomington. You still sit in the lower 90s this evening at 91. It's 85 in Kokomo and Greenwood at 87 degrees. As you would expect, Storm Team 6 radar very quiet, but we have had a cold front sag south through the state, and that's bringing in a northerly flow, and the biggest impact we're going to notice is that humidity level really starting to drop. This is a look at the dew points. When that air is in the 40s, it's very dry. A little more uncomfortable, though, around Bloomington at 62. That's all going to continue to drop, though, as we go through this evening, and those temperatures will be dropping back into the lower 70s by 10 o'clock. Our sun setting just after 9. We'll take an hourly look at your Sunday forecast in just a few minutes.
Kyle, thank you. Many in Indianapolis are mourning the loss of one of the city's most prominent community leaders and philanthropists. Crystal DeHaan died at her home this morning at the age of 77, according to a spokesperson from the Crystal House International. She created the Crystal House to help impoverished children around the world. It currently serves 6,000 students in the U.S., India, Jamaica, Mexico, and South Africa. DeHaan also provided funding for a number of arts initiatives in central Indiana. Governor Eric Holcomb reacted to the news of her passing, saying, quote, "She used her talents to support the arts and transform the lives of impoverished children globally through educational access to those she had never met. I will miss her spirit, her wit, her commitment, but most of all, daily inspiration. We should all be comforted knowing her legacy will live on for generations to come." Lanes of I-465 on the east side are now back open after a tanker truck carrying thousands of gallons of diesel fuel caught fire. The truck burst into flames near the Washington Street exit around 8 o'clock this morning. According to the Indianapolis Fire Department, the driver was driving south when he heard a bang and pulled over. He believes the drive shaft came loose and punctured the tank, causing the fire. The driver was not hurt, but a firefighter was injured with a cut on his face. Local leaders and survivors of gun violence are working to help those impacted by violence in our city. Coming up, why they continue to spread a message of purpose and hope. And as protests continue across the nation, a memorial service is being held for George Floyd in North Carolina. Still ahead, how family, friends, and strangers are honoring his life.
TV6, sponsored by Citizens Energy Group. This is RTV6 News at 6, working for you.
In the midst of the pain, frustration, and chaos many are dealing with, families who have been impacted by gun violence and local leaders are spreading the message that there is purpose and hope. Today, the 6th annual Pray for Dre, Play for Dre basketball tournament was held, but this year it was a virtual conversation due to the pandemic. Deandra Dykes puts on this event after her son Dre was shot by a stray bullet in Indianapolis when he was 13, but survived. The goal of the event is to give a voice to survivors of gun violence and help those who have been impacted. Due to COVID-19, Deandra has not been able to visit her son, who is in a 24-hour care and rehab facility.
I asked this facility to FaceTime me because this is how I spend time with my son now, so that I could just share a little bit of my why I keep going, why I do what I do, is because I promised my baby that if he would just continue in the fight, that I would be his arms, that I would be his voice, and I would be his legs. And I'm here to do just that. So thank you.
And today they also honored a Ben Davis senior, Adonis Gerald Gillespie Jr., who was injured after a shooting but survived and just graduated yesterday. They gave him and his family a free trip and named him the Survivor of the Year. George Floyd was remembered in a memorial in North Carolina today, just a few days ahead of his funeral. This as thousands continue protesting across the nation, fighting for change. ABC's Rena Roy has this story.
It was a somber day in Rayford, North Carolina, as friends, family, and complete strangers honored the life of George Floyd.
It's very painful. I don't know George Floyd, but I feel like I do, because I see my brother in him, I see my nephew in him, I see my husband in him.
It's honestly sad that it took this for people to wake up and see what's happening in the world right now. I'm glad that everybody is here and paying their respects. He deserves it.
Long lines of mourners gathered to pay their respects after the 46-year-old father was killed on May 25th by former police officer Derek Chauvin, who held his knee on Floyd's neck for more than 8 minutes.
There's a lot of wonderful officers out there, but we can't afford to have not even 1-2% of us doing this for the wrong reason. This has to be changed. We've got to get this right.
As his casket rolled in, hundreds held signs and chanted his name, with thousands across the nation doing the same for days now.
Say his name! George Floyd!
In a desperate plea to end racism and police brutality. Protests taking over dozens of cities today, including Chicago, Philadelphia, Los Angeles, Denver, and Washington, D.C.
Black Lives Matter!
A powerful movement taking place there in what has now officially been renamed Black Lives Matter Plaza, just steps from the White House. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
A great weather weekend in progress here across central Indiana with all that sunshine. Our temperature is still a very warm 87, but look at the humidity already with that north breeze. It is starting to come down at 39%, and will continue to feel a little more refreshing here as we go into the evening and overnight hours. Temperatures, though, check out Bedford in the middle 90s right now. It's 91 in Bloomington, but that cold front sagging through, so you will also get in on some slightly cooler air going into the day tomorrow. And even as we go into the next 12 hours or so, those temperatures will start to fall here with the less humid conditions and those clear skies overhead. So I think we'll see those temperatures landing around 60 degrees in the city for your Sunday morning. Many locations will drop back mid to upper 50s to start off your Sunday. 58 in Muncie and Richmond, 59 in Bloomington and Lafayette at 57 degrees. Not even going to bother with TrueCast for your Sunday because we're not going to really see any cloud cover out there. So certainly no rain chances in the forecast. Temperature that's at 63 at 8 o'clock. We'll get into the middle and upper 70s at noon and back into the 80s for that afternoon high. Humidity, that's going to be low from start to finish throughout the day. But with all that sunshine, if you're going to be out there, don't forget the sunscreen because it's going to be very high to almost extreme tomorrow at a 10. So it's not going to take very long at all to get that sunburn. Temperature-wise, 86 in Bloomington, 84 in Lafayette. We'll find those numbers in the lower to middle 80s tomorrow with those sunny skies. So again, just a few degrees cooler than what we had today, but still very warm and summer-like out there. And we get one more sunny day here as we go into our Monday, and those temperatures will actually get a little warmer once again as we'll find those numbers back well into the 80s. After that, we actually need to look to the tropics for our next weather maker here. You can see it's right now Tropical Storm Cristobal, and that is going to be making landfall in Louisiana the way it looks right now. But look at what happens to the track as we get into the day on Tuesday. Looks like that will move somewhere over either Missouri or western portions of Illinois. Certainly close enough that it's going to increase the cloud cover, bring us some breezy conditions, and we may be close enough that we have some areas of rain and thunderstorms as we go into the day on Tuesday, lingering into our Wednesday before that system starts to move on out of here. But the 7-day planning forecast shows that things are going to be changing in the temperature department. That summer heat continues through Tuesday. Then once that tropical system moves out, out. High temperatures are going to really cool off here. We'll go into the upper 70s on Friday. Right now, it looks like cool and dry starting off next weekend at 71, Nicole.
All right, Kyle, looking forward to it. Thank you so much. It is a few months delayed, but the IndyCar Series is ready to drop the green flag on the 2020 season. Of course, things are a lot different this year. Our Dave First has a preview when the News at 6 continues.
TV6, sponsored by Citizens Energy Group.
The wait is over for IndyCar fans after their season opener in St. Petersburg, Florida was postponed in March. The series makes its long-awaited return tonight at the Texas Motor Speedway. It'll do so, though, without any fans in the stands and a limited amount of crewmen for each team. But for many, tonight is a welcome sight. Sports director Dave First has a look.
They've worked out, they've done iRacing. They grew mustaches, shaved them off, grew them back. There was more workouts and more iRacing, but tonight in Fort Worth, finally the real thing. Although it comes with challenges, not much practice, and everyone's first race with the new IndyCar Aero Screen.
The engineers are going to have their work cut out for them, right? Yeah, this is a big ask, no doubt. I mean, we can't really complain. The Cup guys got no practice or qualifying or anything, so we're still sitting pretty good, all things considered. But you know, first time for a lot of us at Texas with the Aero Screen. First time racing with it under the lights. You know, for me, I've only sat in the car with an Aero Screen once. I've never even driven the thing.
Same story for Tony Kanaan. Tonight marks his 318th consecutive start in IndyCar, climbing in for what is his final full season on ovals.
I haven't been in the car since Laguna Seca last year. That's 8.5 months. That's the longest I've spent without driving. It will be a very adapting day for everybody.
Added up, not much track time on a high-speed oval. It's filled with challenges even on the best of days.
And you don't even get a night to sleep on it. That's the tough part, right? A lot of times you go through, even if it's a rough practice session, you sleep on it overnight. The engineers have time to go through all the data, and you come up with a plan for the next day. There's no next day. It's one day.
I think people will probably take it easy a little bit. The guys that have more experience might have a little bit of an advantage. But, I mean, it is what it is. That's what was presented to us. That's the only way we can race right now. It's the same for everybody. So we'll see what's going to happen.
They're racing again, and ultimately, that's the good news. Dave First, RTV6 Sports.
Device. Just search RTV6.
The area along State Road 37 in Fishers has boomed over the past several years, but long before the suburbs spread in that direction, one family's passion for frozen custard was already in place, and folks keep turning out for a taste. Our Brad Brown paid a visit.
When the old custard stand opened more than 20 years ago, it was pretty much all alone on this stretch of State Road 37.
It's been very busy, more than normal when we open. Normally when we open, we're not that crazy busy, but everybody was just happy to get out. Everybody was happy to eat something different.
But as Fishers has grown up around it, the stand has been right here, serving up frozen treats to a new generation.
We've been eating frozen custard since we were kids, and that's why we built the frozen custard stand, is because we just wanted something different. Plus, all of our food is all homemade. Everything's right here. We make it all.
It's a family affair for Tiffany Leopard. Along with homemade frozen custard, her mom is back in the kitchen whipping up coney dogs, ham salad sandwiches, and more.
People come for the chicken salad and the ham salad. The ham salad is an old recipe. It's just something that we've always had.
But the custard is the star, as it has been from the start. More than 50 gallons made fresh daily, served up in sundaes, shakes, malts, and more.
Flavored Cokes. We have a lot of flavored Coke fans, so yeah, we have a lot of people that come by.
There are daily special flavors.
We normally have chocolate, vanilla, and butter pecan. Sunday is mint chocolate chip. Saturday is a strawberry. And lemon has become a phenomenon. We have it every Friday now. I don't like it, but everybody else does.
Then just about any topping combo you can think of, and a few that might surprise you.
When we first started, the girls themselves that we started with started making different things, and that's how we come up with a lot of the specialty Sundays.
Familiar faces, lots of smiles, and a taste of summer topped off with a little hot fudge.
It's just something you don't have at home. You know, everybody's been stuck at home, so they want to get out. And we have lots of seating outside, so we've had, even during the rain, we've had people out here sitting outside, just being outside and being somewhere other than home.
Working for you in Fishers, Brad Brown, RTV6.
That custard going to pair nicely with our forecast the next couple of days, getting our fair share of some vitamin D. Lots of sunshine Sunday and Monday with those highs well into the 80s. Then we got some shower and thunderstorm chances there Tuesday and Wednesday as the humidity comes back, and a big change heading toward next weekend. Things will start to cool down. We've got those highs barely into the 70s by Saturday, Nicole.
All right, Kyle, thank you. And thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you right back here tonight at 11.